Wario Land 4, that's the game. Anywho's, first, before I introduce myself, here's a little speed tech. You see that crown there? And you see that S-Art is unlocked? That crown is usually a thumb. Animation's 4 frames slower. A very cool speed tech to start off with. Anywho's, we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, Wario Land 4. We're starting off with some soft resets to skip some cutscenes, and while this tutorial level is cool and all, it has all the cool tutorial things on the walls. Very cool integration. We're gonna explain the real speed tech here. First off, you can ground pound and gain some extra momentum every single time you fall down. Entering pipes is kind of obvious as is. The goal is to hold a lot of R. R makes you go fast. Fast is good. Here, see, the tutorial says B. That's the first lie we've gotten here. Those chest pieces, you do need 4 every level, and there is also 8 keys you have to collect, which will be here later. Also a new mechanic is quick grabbing. If you run at an item in the right angle, you will actually just grab it without having the animation play. Usually pretty nice. This one has one too, but it's really hard to do. Sliding is a B and down input. Here's piece number 2. And here you see the teaser. Quickly here. There's a lot of tech here. Like the ladder, you can just kind of skip this by doing the super ground pound. I don't know why the tutorial missed that. I genuinely don't understand. Right, much akin to Pizza Tower though. Every level has a switch, which divides the level into a fold and a pre-fold. The pre-fold obviously being before you hit the switch, and it changes the dynamic of the level when going back. The reason we soft reset twice here, this cutscene's kind of slow. Every cutscene's kind of slow. Just soft reset. Just hit AB, start, select, move on, live your life, do all the cool stuff. And here's the first boss of the game, Spoiled Rotten. Technically a developer-intended strat that you have to do when you're on S-Hard. You have to go over, hit him in the back, and then keep chaining these hits until he dies. And with that, the game will save the very frame you hit the enemy. So timing that's kinda chill. Oh wait, the timer stopped. Oh, what the heck? Do you want me to restart entirety of I'll just restart then. Unlucky. I don't know what the timer did there. Oh. We'll just go again. Interesting. Let me see if that's a global hotkey. Oh. Gamers, I double bound my split key. 10 out of 10. 3, 2, 1. Nothing happened last run, okay? Let's just run back the cutscenes. But yeah, no, there's a lot that has changed in this game. We've had 2 tasks released in the last, like, year or 2. One for zipless and one for just the normal category, which we're not doing any zips. Basically, you get into a specific position in the corner and you can clip into a wall, which saves a few minutes, especially on tasks where you don't have to buffer. Personally, I'm not really a zip kind of guy. I like the movement in this game. It's really satisfying. Not having any RNG also really helps. There's some things that are on a cycle, but you don't really tend to notice it. But yeah, same thing here as last time. We just kind of go through the level as fast as possible. It shouldn't take too long. You gotta cancel out your slides with the A button to regain your momentum. Slide down the hills to do the animation a bit faster. And just to explain everything again, because we did technically reset, you do need 4 pieces of those chests to unlock the boss, and you do need keys to enter the next level. And every level is divided by the switch from a fold and a pre-fold, which might change the dynamic of the level. This one's really simple. It just has them next to each other to show you the way. Alright, first boss of the game, we have Spoiled Rotten. Do I really just do the explanation again? I probably do. People have forgotten the last few minutes. Alright, we'll just explain the guy again. So this one has a developer-intended strat. It's basically the one you are forced to do in S-Hard. Hey, how does KLM know this, man? He just has the answers. How does he do it? Absolutely insane. But yeah, you do get behind him and then you just kind of stun lock him into a wall until he dies. And then on the frame you kill the boss, you can soft reset because that is the frame the game saves. And we're on to the real levels, and we have a choice in our first level, which means we choose to get the 3 most difficult levels out of the way first, which usually is pretty nice, but as far as front-loaded difficulty goes, these like 9 minutes of torture do kind of exist now. The early game does get pretty hard. There's a few levels where it's just bound to like a trick or two, and there's some levels where the platforming is just really hard. That hit right there is a 1-frame trick. You can kind of just run through them. If you're too early or too late, you just get hit and you move on with your life, because there really isn't an alternative to this. And this is where enemy quick grabbing comes in. So the way a quick grab works is if you run into an enemy and jump right before you are supposed to grab them, you will skip the animation and you just keep all of your momentum, which gets used a lot in this run, so keep your eyes peeled on that one. Here, look, there's another one. This skip is also like fairly new. You can kind of just throw the enemy against the switch, which turns that into a rollable hill. Bit of speed management here to get through the blocks. This is a lot harder than it looks. I think the first time I hit it, it took me like a good 40 minutes of practice. And here's the first time you see a difference between the fold and the pre-fold. And with that, I mean, we just go back and forth and the route's like really not that different. But what does open up is this little route here, which there is a piece down here. Also, there's swimming mechanics. Those currents, you do get stuck in them, and they are kind of rough. But yeah, the level's gimmick is basically that ghost guy. He steals your keyser, as it gets really annoying, which is also why you saw me do the BA dash to get around him. Small little optimization here. You can press A right before you hit a green block like that to skip a bit of the animation. And here's a pretty rough jump. This is basically the first run killer. This jump right here is really tight. So basically the enemy bounces against the wall and you can do a mid-air jump off of the enemy. Normally the mid-air jumps aren't too bad, but because you have to take the wall bounce into account, this one can get pretty tough. Yeah, aside from that, there's not really much in this level. Like, you can release ladders by pressing B and side button. Like, that's about the tech that is left in this level. And much like on the first frame you can kill a boss, the first frame you hit the portal is also when the game saves. And then you reset, get the cutscene, and get all of that out of the way. And then we enter the next one, which is Arabian Night. Which has my least favorite thing in the game, furniture. Carpets, doors, and ladders, they all lose a lot of time because they are really clunky. Ladders have a ladder slide mechanic, so if you like press B and down, you just slide down the ladder and it's a bit slow. Carpets are just kinda jank. I have no other words for them, really. They really are just jank. And the doors, some of these doors are 2x2 and they're slightly misaligned. So this one specifically is like slightly misaligned to the right, and that gets really frustrating sometimes. Wait, here's our first transformation. Wario is allergic to bees. He floats up when he gets stung, which gets us into this pipe, which changes it into a secondary transformation we have to do in this room, which is Bat Wario, which basically turns him into a vampire. Just allows you to fly and do some cool stuff. Also, a nice developer-intended ladder. In Zips, it's very useful because it actually allows you to get back up. So we change it back to the bees. I don't know why water changes it back. I'm not too keen on vampire lore, so do let me know. And here's the other big run killer. This jump is really frustrating for like no reason. You basically bounce on this enemy midair and you are crouched, and that barely gets you in that little hole there. Saves like 15 seconds. But this is the first one where the route actually diverges between the pre and post fold, and it basically becomes a swimming section, which, if you know your mid-2000s platformers, yeah. This game too. The swimming isn't too bad. There's just a few mechanics that are involved that get really tough. I'll get to them when we actually get to the water level in the game. But yeah, here's the actual hardest level in the game. This is Fiery Cavern. This is one of the 2 levels where health management really comes in and a lot of damage boosting happens. Including here, because we can just get hit and go through the lava. Mario could never. Okay, did miss the pit. You can basically get enough speed to skip all of that. but because we didn't, we can't damage boost here because of the health situation, and we just go around and lose a little bit of time. Right here, we go all the way to the right to despawn the enemy on the left. When he spawns the boulder, he creates an earthquake, and that does impact Wario. Basically stuns you for like half a second. Here's another nice mechanic. Turn frames. If you get hit, it sends you back, but if you turn around at the right time, you basically just get launched to the other side. Which happens twice. And that puts us at 1 health, which is why the damage boost had to be skipped at the start. But here's the hell froze over mechanic, where you start with fire and end with ice. Which gets us to another transformation, which is Snowball Wario. Basically, you go up on a hill and you roll down like a snowball. Really not that much to it. But it is pretty fun. Yeah, basically, fairly simple movement here. Mind the icicles, mind the Yetis. The Yetis are kind of dinguses. They don't hurt you, but they do send you back flying. We'll try the cool tech. There you go. There's Yeti jump. Pretty new tech. Saves like 0.6. Looks really cool. Really doesn't impact the run much. And there's a second Yeti here, which hopefully goes to the left. That one is one of the two that are cycle-based, and they can get into a really nasty position where you just get hit. Luckily, though, did not impact us. And we get to go on. Alright, so here's Hotel Horror. If you hadn't noticed, each passage kind of has its theme. This one basically based on horror stories. Or terrible or scary locations. Small little jump on the guy here. If you hit him on the last room, you get the bounce off and skip a set of stairs. It's kind of nice. That fiery enemy has killed more runs than I'd like to admit. If you go too fast, that will actually catch you on fire, which sends you flying back and forth 3 times. And then you burst into flame and you have to wait out on animation. It's one of the worst things that can happen. Another thing I can explain is the B dashing on the wall. So by pressing B and A right below a wall, you gain slightly more momentum than if you were just hold R and press left or right. Yeah, more Bet Wario here. There is a transformation here that we hopefully do get the miss. This gorilla can throw an apple, which turns you into Fat Wario. Don't ask why. But we mainly just use him for an enemy jump. We're just gonna ignore the mechanic and jump over and skip all of it because it's faster. Which does bring us to another transformation in this room. Zombie Wario gets purified by the light but can fall through a lot of platforms. Including those smaller ones. Including the ones below here, but it's just faster to take the ladder down. And there's something I did not hope to explain. That is what I'd like to get... What I'd like to call getting outer pixeled. So those chests have like 3 or 4 pixels you can stand on without grabbing the piece. Nice soft reset. And that basically ignores you grabbing the piece. There are places where you cannot go back, so it's more on me to take my right moments with those. Luckily, that one's pretty inconsequential, but there are a few where the situation gets a bit more dire. Anyway, here's the best sprite in the GBA library. Say hello to Cat Bat. And I am using audio cues, so I will be quiet until the second phase here. But the way it works, you basically try to chain the waves and do attack him. It's pretty tight. I like going for the task strat just because it is something I've grown used to, but it is kind of rough. And apparently we are playing this fight mirrored, which gets kind of awkward sometimes. Ah, missed it. Yeah, you basically hit him against the head a bunch of times and then you just chain ground pounds on the second phase. The first phase using an audio cue makes it kind of rough to commentate, but sometimes you just gotta focus. But yeah, there's Catbat. Very unfortunate he had to die. I really love that sprite. It has so much character. And on to the, I want to say best passage in the game, which is Topaz. Very much based on like children's toys, including the toy blocks here, which Toy Block Tower, apt name. I wonder if we've seen a tower before. Might have been my imagination. But yeah, this level's pretty straightforward compared to Sapphire. There's a lot of minor tech you get to do, like there's a double tap jump you can do here. You slide down, kill these blocks. There's just a lot of like diamond puzzles as well. We kind of just ignore them. Don't worry. Low enemy jump to get enough height. We cancel the fire early to make another cycle. This fire mechanic is essentially what would happen if we messed up in Hotel Horror. Hopefully jump early enough to knock that enemy off, which we do. Yeah, this level's main gimmick is basically putting the triangle in the triangle hole. It does not go in the square hole. Don't believe their lies. Nothing goes in the square hole in this game, unfortunately. But we do get to catch fire and wait it out like real men. Mario could never, once again. He is just not Wario. He's not him. A quick little B-dash here, and this is also an alternating route, so we do get to go down the pipe here. This is also one of the pieces where you do not want to get out of pixel. You cannot go back. Very bad to miss that one. And they are all required to unlock the bosses once again. Hopefully get the perfect momentum here. Yup, there we go. What happens there is you basically run at full R speed and you get a quick grab off on that block there. One of the harder things to do in that level. And here's my actual favorite level in the game, both casually and in the speedrun because of the recent reroute. This is based on a board game, and I hope everyone loves rolling dice because these are loaded. So we do kind of get the cheat. But these operate on a cycle, and we manipulate the board in such a way that we do get to skip some things using the Wario tiles. Which we do not want to hit here. Hitting a Wario tile here catches you on fire, and you do not want to catch on fire once again. Get the heart here. That cycle is surprisingly tight. You have like 3 frames to hit it. And here's the new trick. Hopefully we do get it. Sadly did not. That's rough. How does this interact with my cycles? I think I'm supposed to get 5 here. That's rough. I do want to stay on cycle as much as possible. Hitting the 3 there is really rough. Just a bit of greed. But we do want to hit the thing up, and it also sets up a really good buffer for the escape sequence. And the way that buffer works is by ground pounding, you hit the floor just a little bit faster, and that allows you to get the in-between hits on this block. I do kind of want to skip this one though, because the blocks are in reverse, and we do want to reverse that as much as possible. So we do get the chain a few. Sadly did hit the Wario tile. I did intend to hit a 5, but was a bit too slow. And we just chain our way through the board at this point and just move on. Luckily the Keezer really doesn't have a puzzle here. It's just clear the board and you get to go. It does bounce you back, so say I was 3 tiles away and I rolled a 6, I would go to 3 tiles and then go 3 tiles back to my original position. Which is the difficulty of this board, casually speaking at least. Yeah, the rest of this is pretty trivial. We just run back and go fast. Actually, it isn't entirely trivial. There is a little piece down here, which is kind of hard to miss. You get a small enemy bounce to go on a ledge here, and we just run all the way back home. Again, pressing R is fast. You want to go fast. Kind of speaks for itself sometimes. Alright, here's the the other children's toy, which is painting. Who hasn't painted as a child? This guy features Hoggus, or as I'd like to call him, Big Calso, because he draws enemies and they come to life. There are some puzzles involving them in hard mode or for diamonds, but they don't really matter here. It'll just alternate between a snail and a flying enemy, and that's about all it does. He's just drawing his paintings, he means no harm. So something similar to what we did in Crescent Moon Village with the poles, we also do try to manage our speed here in order to pass through at one go, but this one's a lot tighter than the one in Crescent Moon is. And this is the level where the way back is a lot different than the way we came, because now these doors get to open. Which opens up for the worst trick in the game that I'm not going to do, which is big jump. You should look up the IL for this level. Endlion did a really insane run with it. The trick's really dumb, really. That's all I get to say. So basically, you grab this pig here and then you do an enemy jump off of this chest piece, which, like, what are you doing? Oh, I also missed the thing. Nice. But yeah, that basically skips this little section here, which it's kind of fast, but it's really rough to do, and you do not get a second chance. Racketoo, nice. Good naming, chat. Well done. Good focus. Here's a nice little double enemy bounce if we get good enough. Pretty hard to set up. So we use these two to skip hitting both pencils, which create the platforms you need to go on. I'm gonna wait for him to go further left so I can set him up. And you skip both pencils that way. You can get an insta bounce, but you do have to hit the first one, which I didn't because I'm skill issued. And that's Doodlewoods. On Wario again, of course. This game is good. But here's Domino Roll. This one really isn't too difficult as far as mechanics are concerned, because this level wants you to speedrun, and if I look at my attempt counter, it says like just over 3,000, so we should be fine in that regard. But the idea is you beat the dominoes, you unlock an extra reward, and it's fairly simple in that. The only one that's close is this, because the rolling, it locks your speed. The only thing you can do is avoid the slopes and get a better exit roll, which you don't necessarily want to do here. But yeah, with a bit of movement, you just make it fairly easily. And there are a lot of damage boosts here, so this is actually the second level where health matters, and I am already beefed. I'm already in some trouble, which... if I do take another damage, I do have to take some backups, but this one has a fairly free health lying around later on. Hey look, our friend water mechanics are back. That's all the water in the level. Well, there's a little bit more, just pretty inconsequential. But yeah, this one very easy to match the dominoes. Get a B dash here. If you face right when entering that door, you do not make that ledge. It took us a year to find out that that's the case, because you do usually enter that that room facing right, and it was discovered by complete accident at some point. But here's the backup part. I wish I would have had one extra health, because the final section is the only risky death in the game. But I can play it safe if I really need to. But yeah, this one again, the route's a lot different. We basically get to see the rest of the level. So here the lower section's blocked, so we do have to take the upper section. Roll here, get the piece. And we're back at the entrance of the screen previous. Where now we have another transformation, which is Spring Wario. Spring go up. It's fairly simple. Is our last chest piece, which was one of the rewards. This is the only reward that really matters. And you might be thinking, Sniper, you're missing a piece and you're almost at the portal. Correct, but we're also missing a Keyser, and that one forces us to drop down here. And this is where we might die, because this room is kind of just iffy. There's a damage boost we do, and... well, there's kind of two damage boosts we do. If we mess up and I take an extra hit, It's just over. And because this is at the end of the level, this is really the only bad death you can take. But yeah, that was Domino Roll. And now we go to my least favorite boss in the game. Eridan's kind of a dingus. So the way he works is you knock a spike, you deflate the bear, and then the head pops out. But if you hit the head, you do damage. If you hit the bear, he floats back up. And if he floats back up, that's 12 seconds down the drain, which easy boss fight, smiley face. Casually, it doesn't matter as much. You have plenty of time to just kill him. But in a speedrun, it's... yeah. It's just not the best. There's a good visual cue you can do. You can line up Wario's hat with the ear you are B-dashing from, and that usually works for me. And then it's just keeping rhythm, hitting the boss over and over until he dies. Which, good Eridan. Very cool. Did not lose 15 seconds. Might be good at the game. It should not be understated how annoying the boss can get if you're on a run and the nerves kick in. And now we're in Ruby Passage. Mainly built around machinery. And what better way to showcase machinery than with cogwheels? These things are really jank. Speaking of jank, these crushers, you do become Flat Wario, and Flat Wario is really, really slow. He also falls down really, really slow because he gets the float, and you eventually have to float down this screen again. If you do, it costs you a full 25 seconds. It is one of the worst things that can happen because the game is just taunting you. It's not just the fact that it's really slow, it's that the game knows it's slow, and it just feels kind of bad. Yeah, that fire guy, just jump over him. It is a kind of a tight jump, but it is bufferable, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Just grab the keys here, do a small little setup for the cycles of the crushers here, which we can just easily avoid. You basically spawn them in the moment you B-dash off the chest. And from there, you're just free to go. So if you kill the enemy you B-dash off, nothing should happen. Small little cycle manipulation into a last chest piece. And that's it for this level. Fairly short one. This passage has a lot of short levels, except the last one, which is the longest in the game. And I have some words for it when we get there, because it has seen a bit of a reroute. Speaking of reroutes, this level's basically been the same, except for one little trick that was added. So you're supposed to just get fat from the gorilla and kill the block, but you can barely hit it with a super ground pound. Same for this, just hit into ground pound, and then do a super here. Go down, grab the piece. And then here I prefer not to get full R speed, but I do prefer the R hop, which has the same speed, but it doesn't force you into maximum jumps when you jump. Small little trick here, you can jump into the pieces if you jump at the right time. You just kind of open the piece and then walk into it. Okay, hopefully I do get a nice setup here. He can barely jump over the gorilla, and he'll just throw the apple at you. If I jumped at the right time, he would have been facing me as well. And that saves even more time. But it is a pretty neat time save. That was discovered during the making of the zipless task. Turns out when you can't skip levels, you find new strats. It's really cool. Yeah, grab the keys are here. Fairly easy setup to get it as well. Drop down, hopefully knock the enemies to the left, but to the right is good as well. Now we just run through and then go back up. There is a small little visual discrepancy in the beams here. Those indicate tiles you can break. So that's how you can get up here a little bit faster. First time seeing the arrow guys, they have the same effect as the bees. You just get the float up and go about your merry way. Don't float too much. If you miss the portal, you have to go all the way back then, and I think I can cancel that. Control, undo split. There we go. Nice double split key. Alright, so here's 40 below fridge, or my work 10 years ago, because I did work in an industrial freezer for a while. They are cold, I can tell you that much. Haven't seen a Yeti, have not seen snowballs falling down, but they do get pretty cold. Yeah, fairly straightforward level. This is your standard ice platform level. It's very slippery, but if you're in full R speed, it really doesn't matter that much. Ice physics really only affect you when you turn in the game, which is basically never. A small little snowball cycle coming up. If you are within 2 frames of doing this perfectly, you get the snowball directly, which we did. And that basically saves 4.5 seconds of just not waiting for a snowball. Some new tech here as well, for those who've known the older strats. You can just knock this enemy down with a ground pound. And then by going left here, you spawn the snowball a bit earlier, meaning you get the cycle just a bit faster. Yeah, ice physics are fairly realistic, for sure. Ice is slippery after all. But yeah, do get a bit of a reprieve, do stretch your wrists during the run. You only get 1 pair, take care of them. And before we get the snowball here, we do grab the other piece. Just jump up, have the snowball spawn and ready, and we just move on. Which brings us, with a bit of delay, to the level switch. The TAS has gotten this cycle instantly. I have no idea how Resurrun did it. He's an absolute madman. But we mere mortals just have to take the secondary cycle. That Yeti, by the way, used to be the only thing we thought was RNG, but the cycle is deterministic. And sadly for us, with the new strats, it does end up being in a bad spot, like most of the time. I think you either have to play this screen perfectly, or you have to mess up majorly in order for him to move to the right, which we got hit by the ice, so we do get a good cycle on the Yeti, very nice. And that brings us to the longest level in the game, which is Pinball Zone. And oh my word, this level has gotten a reroute. So the reroute saves like 8 seconds done optimally, but it made the level at least 20 times harder. So the goal of this level is getting these 4 balls into the receiver. And the way you do them has changed a lot. So this is kind of new, where we just jump over instead of go under. We wait for this to open and go in. But yeah, you get the 4, this block disappears, and you get to move on. Yo, no jank slope, nice. There's a bit of that slope where if you jump into it, you just lose all your speed because you clip 1 pixel into the thing. It's really jank. Okay, I do have good speed, so I can barely make this half cycle. Hit the ball in here, get a quick grab. Wait for this to open. I do use an audio cue for that. And that's yellow room. That is about as good as it gets. I'm really surprised half cycle hits, because the your movement when holding an item is slightly faster when you are jumping or moving. And that barely allows you to make that. Yeah, do go slightly to the right to spawn in the receiver. And instantly despawn this block. Now the next screen is the first one where the real major reroute comes in. We basically do this room in reverse compared to what we used to, so we do get this downward platform first instead of third. And we set up this ball for later by doing an up throw here. So this used to be the first one. But now we just get it in instantly. We get a bonk to put this in a slightly better spot. We wait for the Yeti. Ideally, you jump into the ball and on the platform with a quick grab, but it's pretty tight. And you do get the satisfying dunk at the end, which really does feel good. But if you thought that was enough pinball, we have 2 more screens. This one also has seen a pretty major reroute. So you grab a ball and do a ground pound as you're doing so to bring the other 2 down. Oh. Thank God they didn't get inside one another. If those two balls are on the same pixel, it gets really rough to get them out. The best thing you can do is just do a B-dash and hope for the best. No guarantees though. Just kinda have to pray it works. Yeah, that little reroute with those balls basically is the fastest thing we've had happen recently in the run. Also, you can bonk that one downwards. That's been a while since I've seen that, but it's a marathon, so things are bound to happen. So these spawn those three, spawn in the block, and we are on the last screen, which also has seen a major reroute, so... Oh, not really major, we just kind of optimized it. You can throw this ball, quick grab this, throw it up the ledge, and then go one down, so you can get an instantaneous quick grab on the ball that's already lying above. We used to be on the upper platform thinking it was necessary, but it turned out not to be the case. Wait for the spark cycle. That spark cycle is really hard to judge because it depends on like how you did the rest of the screen. So when you despawn it and then spawn it back in, it keeps on the same it keeps the same cycle it was on. So if it was 40 frames from launching, it will launch 40 frames into the time you respawn it. There's a lot of like minor tech like that. Also, this hill, if you roll in at the very low bit, you just don't get the roll. I don't know why they did that. It's kind of rude. But yeah, third boss of the game, Kaku Condor. Definitely not my favorite, but it is in the game. This boss is fairly simple. On the first phase, you stand underneath, claw goes down, hit claw, boss gets hit. The second phase has a new test strat where you hit him with 3 eggs in a row. We do a 2-2-1-2 instead because triple egg is stupid hard. If you haven't seen the task yet, by the way, go watch it. It does a lot of crazy stuff. If you thought the pinball I did was fast when done optimally, which we got sort of close, the task saves another 20 seconds. It's really not okay what it can do. Yeah, again, this is on normal mode, so taking damage is really kind of inconsequential. Here's the first double egg. Basically just pelt him to death with his own eggs. Don't tell PETA. We're innocent, I swear. Yeah, on the Emerald Passage, which is kind of the developer-intended second thing to do after entry, and you can see it because these first few levels are a lot easier. For us, though, it offers like a moment of just calming down and having the game do its thing. This level is just hold R, go right, and then hold R, go left. There is a nice little jump you can do in here. Developer-intended secret, but looks pretty cool. Teaser's up here. We don't want to spawn the blocks because it's slow. And yeah, it's just hold R, go left after hold R, go right. Except we do have to collect our piece here. Again, this is kind of a second tutorial level. There really isn't a lot going on. It's just move fast, hit the portal at a pretty fast time, and that's about it. There are some minor optimizations you can do, like you can avoid blocks. Every big block you break actually costs you a frame because it has to despawn and then Wario walks through it. And you'll notice it when you run through a lot of blocks in a row that you will slow down a bit. But yeah, secondary sort of tutorial level. This one's kind of meant to teach you about the way the bees work. But if you're fast enough, you can basically ignore most of this level's mechanics. Like, you're supposed to go up and do a super ground pound. Okay, we do an enemy bounce. It's a lot faster. Like, fairly simple platforming. There's a bit of water coming up and a bit of currents that you have to avoid. So in Crescent Moon, you saw that the currents just pull you away and you cannot get out. This is the place you're originally meant to be taught the mechanics of that. So yeah, small one-way trip up. Get our second piece. And now we just avoid the bees because we do not want to be raised. But we do have one cool trick to show off, which I hope to hit. There's really not a backup for it. Unfortunately, did not hit it. But you can set up an enemy bounce to that gorilla, and from there break this little green block. If it doesn't happen, then you just climb the vine and do it the normal way. It's really not that big of a deal. Okay, again, fairly simple level. The way back is about as simple as the way there. You just take your last piece, do your ground pound here, break the blocks, and then you're already at the portal. And we keep on keeping on. And this is the water level I was talking about. So there is a lot of water mechanics in the game. One of which in the TAS is a really big boon, and in ILs and just runs it kind of sucks. You can do a diagonal swim normally, and you can do a diagonal super swim. The way super swims work are, well, they don't really work, honestly. But if you hit a direction exactly 2 frames after you release your original direction, you do a really fast diagonal swim. Just instantly lets you do the other input. Usually we don't hope for it to happen because it just messes with muscle memory. Also, do not get hit by the bubbles, it's really slow. You're forced to go all the way back up. With a bit of skill you can swim around it like you just saw there. But yeah, getting hit with the bubbles, you go up very slowly and then the bubble pops and you get to go back down. The current here becomes disabled. This guy spawns in, we grab the thing, and we do a, this is not a zip, trust me. It actually isn't a zip, it's a corner boost, which, if Wario is on a corner, he actually gains 1 extra pixel of jump height, and that's barely enough to put him on top of that platform. Which, it's not a zip, trust me. Okay, last piece here. And that's the end of Mystic Lake. And on to basically the final 5 splits of the game, and final 4 even, and they are the hardest in the game. This level, when you are nervous, gets really tough. This is the one level that in a speedrun really teaches you to do speed management well. Because these moving platforms, going through them fast is not the easiest thing in the world. Also, small little cool new tech here. You can reset Wario's animation of destroying the block by getting hit by the arrow there, which lets you instantly fall down. And as Fat Wario, you just walk it off. That enemy has the idea that it sees the light at the end of the tunnel. However, the only thing it sees is a Fat Wario whose hitbox will kill him. So, unfortunately for that enemy, yeah, he did not see the light. Yeah, this screen here is really what separates the good runners from the new runners. And I say new runners because everyone can get good eventually. Just takes a while to get used to. Yeah, small little reroute here as well. We now instantly get this piece here. And then go back and have a roll to one of the level's secrets. So this level has a developer-intended secret here. If you roll all the way back through here, you unlock a new secret area. And now you might think you missed a piece, but walking back and taking this piece is faster than just going down and then doing the roll. It's one of the newer things since the last few marathon runs of the game. And this little pipe here puts you right at the first screen of the level. You grab your teaser, you do your last platform jumps, and you're in the portal. Which brings us to Cractus, and Cractus is weird. Personally, I use a visual cue for this, but the idea of this boss, casually, is you hit the boss and you wait for his angry animation to reset, and then you reset the cycle and you repeat the process. We kind of just kill him in the angry phase. Hopefully. And I do use an audio cue for this, so I'll have a bit of quiet time here. But yeah, fairly straightforward boss. Just hit the boss falls over, and that's about it. Which now that we've defeated all the bosses, the final stage opens, which is Golden Passage, and unlike every enemy or every other level really, this one doesn't have a pre-fold. It just gives you the switch and it says go solve the puzzles. However, there's one more transformation, which is Salmon Wario, which gets to go upstream, and we kind of just ignore most of this level. So this basically skips the first 3 question mark screens. I don't know, it's been a while since I've done the level normally, I'm not gonna lie. But it puts you one room before the end, where the Keyser is. Grab our piece here, become the bat once again, and then we go all the way back up. So this level is meant to be like a test of the things you've learned, so it has mechanics from all the other levels. And I will be showcasing, hopefully, one of the new tricks that I've recently started implementing. Which does require me to hit the professor there. So by setting up on this piece, you can throw the professor, break those 2 blocks, and roll. And then you can instantly get to the Keyser right there. Doing this at the end of the run, it saves 3 seconds, but it's really scary to go for. But as of late, I think I've been consistent enough to actually get it. Which also kind of just loops back to the outer pixel being bad, which we went over at the start of the run. Not so bad after all. A very nice golden passage. Hitting the trick in a marathon is one thing I really wanted to do, and it's just nice. It really is. Showcasing new tricks feels good. Yeah, just a few more soft resets to go. Trust me, it's almost over. Just this door here, because cutscenes are still slow. And we are on to the final boss. This is the only really long cutscene, and if you've noticed, each boss kind of had a piece of jewelry on them. Diva has all 4 of them now. His boss fight is interesting. So there are 3 phases to this. Well, 4. One of them is the mask phase, where you jump on a mask, you hit Diva with the mask, she takes damage. After that, she does 4 different attacks back to back to back to back. And then she starts doing mixed attacks. And then there is one more phase, which I'll get to when we get there. So with the mask phase, the idea is to get her in a certain position so we can set up for the second phase, as positioning is very important this fight. If those masks hit you, they basically act like the bubble would be in the water. It just drags you all the way up and wastes some time. Yeah, first attack here with the Cactus Ball. And the Aerodon Ball. Third phase, she spawns an egg. And the 4th phase is where this boss fight kind of just runs wild. So this is the hammer spawn. You can repeat this. And hopefully we do get to do sort of an infinite with this. Is what I would have said if this was a year ago. We have new strats. We're cool like that. We do mix the other attacks in between. It's a bit faster. We like going fast. So we wait for the hammer to despawn here. We barely missed the egg, unfortunately. But you can chain a hit with the egg, and then she'll spawn the ball. This is 1 cycle slower, but it'll work. And here's the last phase where she just pounds down, you hit her face, and then that's the end. And after the lips is time, which is now. Yo, 46, nice run. very fast. A lot going on in this game. I know this game can turn into a bit of a lecture, but there is so much in this game to explain, and there's only so much time to do it. Very happy to get a 46 in the marathon, though. But yeah, world record for this is my PB, which is a 46 flat. I am trying to go for a 44 at some point, which it's going to take a lot of time, but it will luckily take a while. So there's enough streams to be done with that. Aside from that, I have a few shoutouts for the community, which are first off all the top runners in the game, which are Antlion, Beckel, MPU, and Heightseek. And you know what? We'll include Shasta. Shasta's down to 6. It's really wild that we've gotten this far. But all of those runners are very good at the game. There's Rezarin and Node, which are our 2 Tassers, which have also taught me a lot in the game, just through sheer movement and new tricks. There's Vlak from back in the day. There's Greenbean, who I learned a lot from. And honestly, the entirety of the Wario Land 4 Discord is really cool. You should visit. Aside from that, and one more shout out to you, the viewer, because you ended up watching the run, and that's cool.